Hi.
Welcome, everyone, to episode number, I have no idea, of Back in the Closet with the Two Crazy Cat Ladies. Thank you guys so much for joining us. This is going to be a very different episode. We haven't had a podcast episode this year, actually.
Not one. Wow.
I'm pretty sure not one.
And it's already March.
And it's already
Happy March.
It's already
you guys.
March. Happy March, everyone.
March.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is going to be a very special episode because we are going to be giving you guys a little of the real of what's been going down with the Two Crazy Cat Ladies here. We have lost two of our cats in the past 5 weeks, and that is difficult, right? It's as you can imagine, and many of you guys have gone through this as well. Either a double, a triple, sometimes maybe it's just even one, but losing one of our beloved kitties is always so heart-wrenching. And so we want to talk to you guys a little bit about what we've been going through, the lessons that we've learned, and kind of dedicate this episode to our Pooh Bear and our Oliver Twist.
Not kind of. We're definitely dedicating this episode to them.
Yes. So we can actually kind of heal ourselves. Like, we think this might be a bit healing for us to get it out and represent their lives, talk about how honor their lives, and talk about how grateful we are that they picked us, right? So just for you guys that are listening or are watching, we're live here on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram right now, recording this podcast. And in the past 5 weeks, we lost Pooh Bear very suddenly. Pooh Bear's our orange tabby. He was the one we always called our problem child, but he was one of our greatest teachers. And he went from super healthy, actually the healthiest he's ever been. He was 12 years old, the healthiest he'd been, to literally gone in 20 minutes.
He had dinner, and 20 minutes later he was gone.
20 minutes later he was gone. And that was really shocking. That's the type of, I know many of you guys have experienced a very sudden, out of the blue, no warning sign, no anything, a death like that. And that is that's nothing we've ever been through before. We've never had something so shocking happen in our home with our babies. And they're thinking, it's probably either a blood clot through a blood clot or had a stroke. Either way, it was he was here and he was great, and then he was gone. And then it
was hard for the whole family, but especially for our Oliver Twist, who was his super bonded buddy, best friend.
19-year-old, our senior, or our oldest cat at the time. I guess technically they're both seniors, but Oliver Twist was 19, and they were bonded, super bonded, best buddies. And it came as a shock to Twist. We could tell it came as a shock to Twist Oliver Twist, as much as it did to us. And he took it really hard. Now, he had already been diagnosed with kidney disease, and he was actually getting better. Like, his kidney levels were getting better over the past 3 blood tests that we had done. So we were keeping that all under control. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't kidney disease. That they ended up taking him down. But I will say that the grief, for those of you guys that don't necessarily what's the word I'm looking for, believe in the stress takes a toll on your body, Oliver Twist is proof that it really does. And the whole die of heartbreak is just that, right? It's the grief and the stress that takes a toll on your overall health. And Oliver Twist, Mr. Twister, just went from like, he was great. He was showing his age. Of course, he was 19, so he was showing his age, and he had a little bit of kidney disease, and he was great. He was great until Pooh Bear left, and then he took a sudden decline, and that decline hit us hard especially in the midst of grief from losing Pooh Bear, it turned into a very, I don't know, stressful thing for us, which we're
Well, it was
learning so many
already
lessons.
there were two very different deaths. And Pooh Bear really left us kind of in a tailspin, really. I mean, we've never dealt with something like that. And we've never really grieved the way that we were grieving for Pooh Bear. And I think, that energy also was something that Twist was
Picking up on, for sure.
Right.
All of our babies were. I need you to speak up a little bit for the podcast.
Well, I want to say this is we wanted to do this, not that we ever feel like we're ready to do something like this, but we wanted to do it about the grief and the gratitude. And I have to say, before I lose my shit or we get rambling too much, I have to say one of the things that's been most profound over this really traumatic time is realizing how much love there is in this community, how much grief brings out so much empathy and love and support. It's really been a fascinating experience. We spend all of our time as the two crazy cat ladies
trying to bring
really
joy. We're typically, for those of you guys,
and happiness, right?
For those of you guys that are new followers of ours, I swear to you, we're typically very, very happy individuals. That's something that all of our cats have enjoyed, and that we enjoy, and that we feel blessed with. That we're typically very, very energetic and happy individuals, and I don't want to say that we're not. But this is a new we're in a new place right now. There's just no way to say that there's a whole different experience for us, and it has been a really humbling experience for all the support. You guys really are helping us through this. I feel like we've never necessarily taken time to grieve, and I think that's something too. I want, why are we doing this podcast? I think that there's a part of this too where so many of us have to grieve in private, and we don't have the opportunity to talk about these amazing beings that bring such joy and light and learning to our lives, and the outpouring of the empathy and the people that have gone through very similar circumstances. I feel like I'm grateful for our boys for shedding a light on all of us about this, because the one thing that we all have in common is our love of cats. And unfortunately, we'll also all have in common what it is to say goodbye. Yep. And these two, these two beautiful cats are totally different cats, and they were totally, like, literally almost complete opposite cats, and also totally different deaths, right? So but as I said, Pooh Bear was the one that we called our problem child, and Oliver Twist was the one we called our perfect child.
That's Jay, by the way.
No, but I mean, yeah, okay, those were the names I gave. But
Pooh Bear taught us a lot.
Pooh Bear always had, like, he had health issues up until he didn't.
And when he had emergencies, they were always after business hours.
Mm-hmm.
So the vets were all closed. You guys find your emergency vet, put it on your fridge, because I can't remember where I put it in my phone. And if you put it on your fridge, then you can call that number every month and make sure there's still a 24-hour clinic.
Yeah.
Just saying. Pooh Bear was always teaching us something.
Always teaching us lessons. And Pooh Bear was 12. Oliver was 19. When I didn't realize that what we were doing with Oliver Twist until literally the last week. That what we were doing with Oliver Twist was actually hospice care after Pooh Bear left and his health just started to decline. We put all of our focus on Oliver Twist, and we started doing medically. We took him in. We started giving him fluids. We started doing regularly at home, at the vet's office. We started taking him outside every day. We made him some tea that took 15 hours to make, that was going in every single one of his meals. It was going to just help enrich his overall body.
It did help, by the way.
It really did. I mean, all of this stuff helped. But when it's time, and when they tell you that it's time to say goodbye, sometimes one of the best things that we can do is help them instead of just beg them and wait for them to make that transition themselves. And so with Oliver Twist, we had a vet come to the house, and it was a very beautiful, if you can say beautiful, it was a very honoring transition, peaceful transition for him. And
for the family too. I think, when Pooh Bear left, I don't think Twist knew what was going on. The Panthers did. Jack did.
The Panthers saw it. Twist was with me.
Yeah.
Oliver Twist and I went running up the stairs at the same time, like, okay, it was a great day when Pooh Bear left.
But there's something that to be said about how animals are able to understand a little bit better. And I think that was something that Twist didn't necessarily, because it was such an emergency, because we scooped up Pooh Bear and we were gone, and we came home without him. Yeah. That I think it was much more difficult for Twist.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one lesson I think, or to bring a little bit of value to this podcast is, just when you do start to see that decline, whether it's due to something, or it's always going to be due to something, right? Like a health issue, or just declining. Like it's not necessarily even a health issue. Always, sometimes it's just time to go, right? But to pay attention and to talk to your cat and to pay attention to those signs, so that if the time comes that you need to help them, you can help them, and you can help them peacefully. But I want to tell you a little bit about their lives, right? I won't give you the entire 19 years of existence with them, because this would be a really long podcast. But I want to tell you a little bit about why these cats were so freaking special. Okay. When Oliver Twist came to us, when we always say, oh, they picked us because we go to the shelter, or they show up at our door or something like that. And I guess it's kind of similar. We're sitting in the backyard at our first house here in Las Vegas. We were sitting in the backyard, and it
was a back slab of concrete.
Yeah, it was a very small backyard. But our wall, like there's always community cats or neighborhood cats, right? That a
lot of outdoor
cats and stuff like that. And they would maybe jump up on the wall, and every time we would be like, well, hello there. And they would always just run away, right? Oliver Twist jumped up on, actually his name started out as Orphan Annie. He was Annie, because we thought he was a female.
So gorgeous.
He was so gorgeous, and he was so sweet. And we were like, we just thought he was a girl. I don't know. Just because, I don't know. We think girls are sweeter. I don't know. Because they're not really. I have no idea. But he jumped up on the wall, and we were like, well, hello there. And he immediately jumped down into our yard, jumped up in my lap. And I was like, well, hi. And then crawled over to Adrian's lap, and then crawled back over to my lap. We called him for 19 years the equal opportunity lover, because if he was giving one of us love, he had to give both of us love. It was like, even on the couch in his last days, like if we were laying on the couch, he would come over and he would love on one of us, and then he would have to like get up and go over to the other one, because he had to distribute his love equally, right? He stayed in our backyard, and we had 4 other cats at the time, and we were like, we don't need another cat.
We were sure that he was someone else's cat.
Yeah, so, he was too sweet to not be somebody's
so much time at our place. We put up flyers like, who is this?
We took pictures of him, put up flyers.
Is this cat missing? Like, he's been at our place for so long. Oh my God, his family must be devastated.
Before the days of next door, and like Facebook just got
started.
It was
like you literally print a flyer and you put it on your mailbox.
We're talking 2006. So after several days, he actually disappeared for a little while.
It wasn't several days. He was showing up for months.
Not months. It was weeks. It was not the summer.
Was
really?
Most of the summer.
I thought it was all the way. Anyway, he was showing up a lot.
Remember 4th of July, we asked our neighbors, and they were like, "Oh, we've seen that cat."
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And then he came back, and he would always sleep on our back mat, and he was gone for a long time. And one night, Adrian grew up devout Catholic, and she's like, "I'm gonna pray to Saint Francis."
So ask my boy
and see if and just say like if he's meant to be here, bring him back. I want let him come back tonight. And that next morning, we got up.
Well, the deal was if Saint Francis brought Orphan Annie back, because it was getting so cold and we were really getting worried about him. Like, No one had claimed him. We didn't know where he went. And he wanted to come in so bad. The promise was if he comes back, if Orphan Annie comes back to us, Oliver Twist, then we will let him in.
Yeah.
Like we will.
And that next morning, he was there on the mat. And we like rushed down and we were like, oh my God, he's here. So this is the beautifulness of this soul of Oliver Twist. We opened the door. We did not know all the things that we know now, right? So like the introductions and how you should go through the process and make sure like all the things that we know, we did not know in 2006. And so we just opened the back door. He comes in. Now, mind you, Adrian had seen him literally attack another cat, like, and draw blood that came into our yard at one point. He was being territorial of our yard. A small yard, but he was being territorial. So I was a little scared of like, if this cat attacks, it's going to attack one of our cats. What's going to happen? We open the door. He comes in. She at the time comes in, and all of our other cats, Scotch, Mama, Biddles, and Tiggy at the time, all came up and they puffed up and they hissed at him. And it was like, I can still see it to this day. The moments watching him come in and then come straight to him, just like ready. And he immediately rolled over and gave them his belly.
Laid down and gave him his belly. And they all came and smelled him.
And they were like, okay. He literally said,
and Twist is a huge
please
cat.
Let me stay. Please let me stay.
So
that's how
Twist came to us.
That's how Twist came to us. And Twist never changed that type of unconditional love, that type of please, like in like selflessness, that like he cared for everybody. He literally bathed everybody every day.
He calmed situations just by walking between cats.
There would be like two of our young ones. Now they would like start to like go after each other, and he would literally walk in between them and lick their heads and calm down the situation. We watched it. Absolutely like amazing, right? So that's Oliver Twist. Now, fast forward to 2013, when Pooh Bear came to us. He came to us because my sister had rescued him off the street, and she wanted another cat for her kitty, Tattoo, who was a little bit like just getting a little let's say having behavior issues as far as like getting angry. He's not angry. What is the word? Aggressive. There's the word.
At people.
Yeah. So she was like, maybe he needs a playmate. So she went and got Pooh Bear and brought Pooh Bear in and had Pooh Bear for a couple years. And they literally like fought for territory, drew blood, peed all over the house. It was not a good situation.
Again, we didn't know anything
at that time, of course. But she was like, I have to get rid of one of these cats, and Tattoo will not get adopted. But Pooh Bear is like, he's actually at heart, he's a sweet cat. So I think he can get adopted. So I think I'm going to have to bring him to the shelter. And we were like, no.
Technically, it was Jay that was like, no. I was like, really? Really?
Come on.
Fast forward to Pooh Bear.
We'll take him.
Sweetest boy.
Yeah. And so that's how we brought Pooh Bear in. Now, at first, it was like Pooh Bear was also super aggressive with all of our cats. Like so he had to be like an outdoor cat for a little while. We were like, we don't know what to do until we figured out how to introduce him properly into the home. And then as soon as he got like acclimated to the home, him and Twist were like buds.
Thick as thieves.
They were like, okay, let's do this. And Mr. Biddles was part of that Three Musketeer clan as well.
I have a picture of them where they had like the full-on triple spoon happening.
Yeah, plenty of pictures. Yeah, with the
Pooh
three
Bear
of them.
And Twist.
And Mr. Biddles passed in 2020, and they became even closer. Like you would rarely see one without the other. And so And so that's how our beautiful babes came to be and spend so many amazing years with us. We have so many memories, so many funny memories, so many lesson memories, too much to go into. But
I love that. I love, for the longest time, we obviously had 6 cats, and we always said that we had 3 bonded pair. We had Oliver Twist and Pooh Bear. We had Zorro and Friday, who are our little panther twins that are bonded beyond human ability to understand. And then we have Jack and Madison, who are also a sibling set. And there was a part of me, grief comes with so many different things, like guilt or wondering what we could have done. But I remember thinking I jinxed it, because when Twist really started showing his age, I remember saying to him, basically, or just by thinking it, that he wasn't allowed to go anywhere because Pooh Bear would be lost without him. And then Pooh Bear, and not like the next day, but then Pooh Bear left first, which just was
threw us for
a super shock.
A total loop. And Twist too. But there's peace in the knowing that they're back together again, and I know that they are. What?
Well, I wanted to say, I think we're talking about Pooh Bear and Twist being such beautiful teachers, and we've had so many cats. Those of you guys that have been with us a long time may remember Scotch, who was my first soul kitty, who was almost 22 when he passed. And there are some really beautiful resources out there. I think that grief is one of these things that we feel like we have to go through ourselves. I certainly kind of feel like maybe sometimes I prefer to go through it myself, and being with someone who is, we all grieve differently, right? But one of Scotch's biggest lessons to us was realizing that this is something, that mortality is just something we're going to have to prepare for. And one of the biggest things, and I encourage everyone who loves one of these beautiful beings to watch it now while they're young and whatever. But Dr. Karen Becker has an incredible 2-part series. It's called the Winding Down series. I think you can find it on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And we watched that when we realized what was going on with Scotch so many years ago. And it really does take you through what it is to have a fully bright, vibrant, healthy, happy companion. And then as age starts taking its toll, what that winding down process is like. And she talks about the autumn file. And this is where I think our community has been such a blessing to us, having people in your lives that can help you, support you in the decisions that you need to make. But this autumn file is basically where you can look at your cat's life when they're young and healthy and vibrant, and you can evaluate from the best that you know when things start, when there is an illness, when there is age, when there is that deterioration. What are the decisions and how do you want to make them in a way? Like, there's just a very pragmatic way of thinking about things before you're in that really like crisis, desperate moment.
Yeah.
And that was something that was so helpful for us with Oliver Twist, because that series, the Winding Down series from Dr. Karen Becker, kind of helps translate in a way what our animals are saying to us, trying to better understanding what does quality of life mean? What does that mean to us? What does it mean to our cats? I don't know. I thought it was it's a beautiful resource.
It is. And as you were talking about how everybody grieves differently, I want to talk about a little bit about like coping mechanisms, and not that we're at all distinguished in this.
We are very distinguished. We drink too much alcohol and we eat a lot of crap food.
No, but really, like, think about the things that you do that are productive and that are actually make you feel better, right? Like, we think that the alcohol makes us feel better for a half a second until we're just like crying over FaceTime with your sister, right? Like that doesn't actually make you feel better. But and eating, right? Like, you get that comfort food thing, but then the next day you're just like, because you just ate a bunch of crap, right?
I have not weighed myself since Pooh Bear left.
No, there's no need to. But the actual things like cooking this time with Pooh Bear, I did some, or for me personally, right, like cooking and cleaning. I know that sounds like so, like two of everybody's like worst things, like the things they hate most is cooking and cleaning. But for me, those are like some of my cathartic things. And I've been doing a lot of cooking since Twist left last Thursday, so 6 days ago. And when Pooh Bear left, I did some reorganizing. Like I reorganized something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I finally reorganized the entire supplement cabinet, which we have an entire cabinet in our kitchen that is all supplements for our cats and ourselves, but mainly our cats. But so we have all the tools in our cupboard, but that felt really good. Like little things that you can do when you're going through that grieving process that can kind of make you feel better. I encourage you to do those things because they just every little bit helps, right? Like coping mechanisms, try to stay away from the unhealthy things. I started running again this week. It rained this morning, so I didn't run, but those things, listening to some podcasts, those kind of things are the things that I'm doing to try to, I don't know. I actually don't know if I'm trying to hide, like mask the pain of Twist, or if I'm trying to actually do coping. But if it makes you feel good, it makes you feel good. Right. So
it makes you feel better. I think there's a big part of us that realizes just how dark this time is in our lives. And I'm not coping with clever things like cooking or running. I'm still sleeping a lot and not showering most of the time. So, but I think that it's
don't do those things.
Don't do those things. I think that everyone handles grief differently, and the biggest thing is I want to honor our boys. You know, I think I don't want to wallow in the loss of missing them so long that I forget everything that they've taught us, and bring really light into my own life from the things that we've learned from them, and to the lives of our littles. And I think that it's the gratitude. It's hard for me to make that decision, which sometimes it is. The grief is so powerful. It's like, it's just an emptiness, right?
The emptiness.
And gratitude is kind of like the decision that you have to make. Like, instead of thinking about how much I miss our boys, thinking about how grateful I am for everything that they've taught us. They've literally made our lives what our lives are, and they are continuing to teach us that, one of the biggest lessons we learned with Pooh Bear's sudden death was there were so many things we talk about all the time: enrichment, variety, routine, a lot of these things that we talk about all the time that we actually weren't doing enough of, right? Like, we're just very busy. And so we didn't have routine playtime. We don't do supervised outdoor time. We don't think of things that can be enriching, like fresh flowers or an herb garden. When Twist took a nosedive, y'all, Pooh Bear was telling us, do the shit you talk about, really. It was this moment of,
instead of sporadically, actually do it intentionally.
Instead of doing it when we have time.
Mm-hmm.
And when we have time, what do we do with the time that we have time? Usually something that we have to still get done that day, or, ooh, I have time, I could go ahead and get ahead on this. Instead of, I have time, it is about making time. We spent those 5 weeks with Oliver Twist making time. We had outdoor time every day, and that did mean taking our littles out too.
Yeah. And sometimes it meant 2 hours when he wanted to be outside because it was a beautiful day and he wanted to lay with his rose on the dirt and go around the entire yard and sit up and just sit.
But you had to keep an eye on him because he's still the only emergencies we ever had with Twist were outdoor time, where that little sly guy
would disappear,
would manage to get away.
He did. That was
the only emergency, and he always came back. God bless him, because he loves us so good.
The next morning, every single time we knew this is when he was younger, but yeah, he would like jet out and we wouldn't know. And all of a sudden we'd be like, "Where's Twist?" And he was gone. But next morning we'd wake up and he'd be right there, like, "Where's my breakfast? Let me in."
But they both taught us. They both really did teach us that the things that we want to do, we have to make time for it. Just like we have to make time to
and don't wait until
we have to make time to catch up on the emails, and we have to make time to all the things that we have to. Right? I don't want to ever wait again until it's like, oh, we need to make time now.
Yeah. So it was beautiful that the last several weeks of Twist Life, we bought him a fresh bouquet of roses, a dozen roses every Sunday.
Let me tell you why, though, and this is back to some of the resources that are out there for all of us, you guys. Julianne Thorne with Naturally Cats. She's the one. Many of you guys enjoy her herb gardens for cats. Our babies love them. All different kinds of herb gardens. Herbs are so amazing, and you get to see that self-selection that cats do and things that they need and how they absorb it, either eating it or sitting on it or licking it or whatever it is. And that's something that's been amazing. I had no idea, all the services that she offers, her chakra cleanse, some of the stuff that we were talking about the other day. 5 years ago, I thought woo-woo was a feline behaviorist,
Mm-hmm.
And now we work with Pam Roussel, who does kinesiology and muscle testing, and Julianne Thorne, who does the chakra work, and Karen Dundee Smith, and Meredith Tolson with the Animal Communication Collective. It's like there's so many things out there. Julianne Thorne did a chakra cleanse for Oliver Twist after Pooh Bear died, and we didn't know what that was. We just thought,
okay,
she's going to do a
let's do it.
Well, it was such an intense experience for us. And during that, there was a part where he was communicating with her and said he misses the smell of fresh flowers. And he was an outdoor kitty for so long. And we're like, well, we'll just pick up some roses for him next time we're at the market. And sure
he specifically
enough,
said roses.
Specifically roses. She was using a essential oil of rose. And he said he enjoyed that. And we picked up roses at the Albertsons that Sunday.
And he immediately jumped to it. He
would sit by the roses. If we put a rose down, he would lay on the roses. We were like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
We did energy work with Karen Dundee Smith. The day that he died, we had it scheduled before we knew it was the day he was leaving.
Transitioned.
Yeah.
I don't like the word died.
And anyway, there's so many beautiful resources, but that's why we would get him roses, because he told Julianne Thorne he loved him, and
sure enough, he did. Sure enough, he did. So, yes. So I mean, but the little things that we can do and I posted a cat tip about the, our senior cats and thinking about that, because a lot of times, and we're guilty of this in the past with Scotch. He never went outside. Like, we didn't do any of these things with Scotch. We didn't even think about these things. But that's why I did the tip, right? Is because as our cats get older and they start to age, they start to slow down. And when they slow down, they tend to sleep a lot more. And you're just like, oh, they're just getting old. And, you rub on them, and maybe you brush them and you feed them, and they get up for, whatever, but then they don't actually have any enrichment, because you have to put that effort in. You have to say, hey, do you want to go outside for a little while? Hey, would you like to go for a walk in a stroller? Would you like to do, something a little different right now, instead of just laying there all day and feeling, would you like an herb garden? What if I got you something a little new? Like, especially with our senior cats and geriatric cats, as you start to see them wind down, as you start to see them maybe even declining in health or just winding down, or cognitively, there's so many things that we can do that doesn't cost us anything except for a little bit of our time. And what do they deserve? A little bit of our time, right? And it was really enriching. I did not know that we were in hospice care, because implementing these things for Oliver Twist, to me, I thought he was going to come back. I thought doing these things was going to make him bounce back to Twister. But ultimately, in the last few days, he And we had a discussion, and ultimately he said, no, it's my time. You have to let me go. Release me. And so we did. But
that's also a good point. Dr. Katie Woodley, another beautiful human,
another great resource.
She said sometimes it does help when we're in that time where, I think I realized we were in hospice care,
she did care. Because when I said that, I was like, it's like hospice care. Are we in hospice
we
care? She was like, of course.
2 weeks ago.
I didn't even it did not register to me.
It's hard for us humans, right, to understand what's going on. And Dr. Katie Woodley said, this is something really simple, and it really helped bring some peace, I think, for both of us. She was like, when you realize you're at that point where we're really trying to keep this little being comfortable, and we may not get them to bounce back, right? When we're looking at that, when your cats, when they're experiencing a joyful moment, when they're having a good day. And she said sometimes it's as simple as taking 2 jars and putting a cotton ball in for a good day in one jar, and if it's a bad day, you put a cotton ball in the bad day jar. And it was really clear to us that there were so many more bad days than good days after Pooh Bear left.
Yeah.
And that he was telling us.
Yeah. And he had signs of something completely different that I didn't look up until after he left.
But something I'm sure we're going to share with you guys as soon as we learn more.
Yeah, it's something that,
ocular health.
Ocular health. He had a little spot in the corner of his eye that within 2 days went all the way to like a red. And so looking it up, it does look like, and he had a twitch, which was our biggest, a scary twitch that looked like he was about to seize. Like it looked like he was about to have seizures every time. And we would just like freeze every time. And he would have a certain twitch in his head. And then that blood line went all the way to his eyeball by the last day. And in like 2 days, in 2 days, we went back and looked at pictures, and it was literally in 2 days, which is a sign per Google, right? I've
we'll learn more about
some
this.
Veterinarian websites that I've read, but of a malignant tumor. So I think there was something else going on with him as well that never showed a sign. There was never a sign until Pooh Bear left. So I think a cause of the heartbreak. But yeah, there's
you guys, I just want to we're almost out of time, but I feel like what a beautiful community this is. I think that this community just continues to grow and be supportive of each other. Every time we spend time together, I feel like you can actually feel, we have been feeling it every time we spend time together. We're feeling the healing and the love. And for each other, I've seen so many people sharing stories with each other. And I love that this is a place where we can feel safe and
you're not going
comforted.
Through it alone.
Yeah. And I know that we do, we've spent, our whole thing is to learn all that we can to bring health and happiness to our babies. But this has been this is the beginning of a new chapter for us. I want to touch on our littles a little bit, because I feel like sometimes it's hard to see the blessings right in front of your nose when we're so overcome with sadness. But our littles are all doing very good. And I know
it's so weird. I have to say, it's so weird to not have a senior in the house, guys. It's been over 15 years since we haven't had a senior cat in our family. And now our oldest are 4 years old. They're going to turn 5 at the end of this month. So 5 years old is the oldest cats that we have in our home right now, which is so weird to me. And that's our siblings at Friday and Zorro, and then Jack and Madison are going to be 3. So it's just
we're gonna have a big birthday for them this year.
We are gonna have a big
you guys
birthday.
Get ready to party again.
Their Aunt Sissy's coming.
Yeah,
for it.
It's gonna be beautiful. It is going to be beautiful.
But they are good. They are comforting us. We are comforting them. They are still getting their outside time. We're keeping these lessons and that we've learned from Pooh Bear and from Oliver Twist, and we're continuing to do these things with them because we don't want to wait until their last moments before we give them that kind of enrichment. We want them to live a happy, enriched life, right? So
yeah. Well, I was going to say, we were talking about this last night.
we got 50 roses today.
By 50 roses, you know what Jay did?
Bought 50 roses.
Jay had 50 roses delivered to our home for our family. We were talking about, like, maybe we should get more roses. And we have roses everywhere right now.
Yeah.
And the babies love it. And I love it. And for our boy who loves roses. But I do remember when we got Friday and Zorro, we hadn't had kittens in 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
We hadn't been around kittens in so long. We only had older cats. And I remember us thinking, oh my gosh, we have a chance to like do everything right. And for anyone listening to the podcast, right in quotations, right? Because there's always something to learn. There's we can only do what we know. But that's what we thought, we can do all these things.
Start feeding him right from the beginning. We can start,
and for the most part, the basics for sure.
The kittens, right? Like make sure that they're used to us touching their ears and their buttholes and getting in their mouth. So like these things can be, these things can be easier.
Clip their nails and some, yes, all of that. But then as time goes by, a lot of those things we don't do as often, regularly. Right? And now this is a whole different chapter for us. It was kind of weird to talk last night about the fact that we don't have any seniors anymore. And it's weird, part of the emptiness is these beautiful big souls that I know they're still with us, but it's so quiet and it's so empty. And yet.
So now we only have 4 cats, which just seems weird.
It seems weird
to only have 4 cats.
But seniors do take, for you guys that are taking care of senior kitties. They take so much love. They require so much love, so much care, so much attention to detail in a way. Like there's so much, it's weird to all of a sudden all of that be gone. And we have these 4 beautiful, which
I get that, many of you guys are probably saying like, do you understand that blessing too? And we do, like, we understand that like leaving the house when we go to the conventions, when we have to go on trips, when we have to go on business trips,
we have to
go see family, whatever that is, it's going to be a bit easier, right? The instruction manual that I write out, the binder
will not be 300 pages.
It'll be a lot smaller. It's not going to be as, because there's not like, oh, they have to get this supplement in every meal and this one only in the morning. And, there's not as much. And there's not as much for us to necessarily stress about too, right? Like when it's like, oh, we have a sick cat or we have an older cat. And, I get that.
That's another podcast. I was thinking so much about how much we worry because with everything that happened with our boys, it's really hard not to project that onto our littles.
And we keep talking to each other about that. We're like, we have to stop this energy of thinking like, I need to go find every single one of our cats and make sure that they're, there's a difference in giving them enrichment. And that's the opposite of enrichment, actually.
It's
when you let
hard.
that turn into fear. And that's where we have been in and out of, where it is, we're still not completely out of it, is where it's like, oh my God, are they okay? Oh my God, are they breathing over their necks? Like literally like putting so much negative energy, fearful energy.
Cortisol. They absorb our cortisol. I just think that this is one of the biggest lessons. And like Jay said, we are definitely not over that hump yet, but I want this. We are entering a whole new chapter. It's weird to be in this place. It's weird to very different experience for us to lose our boys like this, but this is a new chapter. And I want us to honor our boys and all of our teachers. You guys know that for some of you OGs, we've had so many babies that have just kind of helped nudge us along the way and been so gentle with us and so forgiving, so amazing. So I want this next chapter to intentionally honor our teachers.
Yeah. And we would want to just encourage you guys to continue to honor your cats, even the ones that are the most perfect, like Oliver Twist. Like we always said, like he was the one that always got the last attention. Like when animal communication came to us, like it was like, who do we talk to? We'd always want to go we'd always want to go to like the sick one, or the one that has a
an issue.
behavioral issue, or the one that might seem like a little, A, B, or C, to find out what's going on.
Twist
and
was
Twist was
perfect.
always perfect. He was always like the last one that really needed attention. He didn't. Don't overlook those kitties, right? Those ones that are just absorb every moment that you have with them, and make sure that you give them the attention that they deserve, and that you will always be grateful for when they are no longer with us.
Yeah,
So,
death is a weird thing. I know we don't like calling it death, but it is a decision, I think, for me personally, to live in the moment, to love in the moment instead of living in fear.
Mhm.
And I catch myself a lot of times on the hamster wheel. And I think that it's really important, not just for my own mental health, but for our beautiful babies that are absorbing every bit of energy that is going on, that are also grieving the loss of the venerables in our home, those that have really kind of led the way. They're going through a lot too, and I want to be cognitive of the decisions that I make to invest my energy in.
Yeah.
And I want
so
to
that means
honor
taking care of ourselves too.
our boys. Yeah.
Yes.
And Rachel Fasaro says you can't pour from an empty cup. And we're realizing as much as we want to take care of our babies, we also need to make time to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Like Jay having fun. Don't you ever send 50 roses to me ever again.
Oh my.
So but like taking time, like we never give each other flowers or anything like that. What a beautiful moment that was.
Yeah, just a tribute, right? Just a tribute to our baby. So guys, go give your cats the biggest hugs, the biggest loves, the biggest slow blinks. Lay down on the couch with them, lay down on the floor with them, spend extra time with them, tell them how much you love them, tell them how much you appreciate and are grateful for them, because those moments
and tell them thank you
so
too
much.
for being in your life, so that somehow all of our lives intertwined.
Yeah.
We're grateful for your babies.
And we're so grateful for you guys. So that's going to wrap up this episode. And we'll be back when we're back. But we love you guys so much. Mwah.
Love you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.